The ruined castle of Eldergrove had been a source of fascination and fear for generations. Perched atop a craggy hill, its crumbling stone walls stood as a testament to a bygone era, shrouded in mist and legends. Locals whispered of a dark presence that lingered among the shadows, a curse that had claimed the lives of those brave enough to explore its depths. Curiosity always drove me, and when I heard tales of a hidden treasure buried within the castle's heart, I couldn't resist the urge to investigate. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and a sense of adventure, I set out on a foggy evening, the path winding like a serpent through the underbrush. As I neared the castle, the wind howled, carrying with it a chill that seeped into my bones. I pushed open the heavy wooden door, the creak echoing through the empty halls. The air was thick with dust and decay, a musty smell that spoke of neglect. Moonlight streamed through broken windows, casting eerie shadows on the stone floor. I took a deep breath and stepped inside, feeling the weight of history envelop me. The great hall loomed before me, its once grand architecture now a shadow of its former self. Tattered tapestries hung limply from the walls, their colors faded and worn. I could almost hear the whispers of forgotten feasts and laughter that had once filled the space. As I ventured deeper, I felt an inexplicable pull toward the stairway leading to the upper levels. The steps creaked underfoot, each sound reverberating through the silence. As I ascended, the air grew colder, and an uneasy feeling settled in my stomach. I paused at the top, staring down a dark corridor lined with doors, each one beckoning with the promise of secrets hidden within. I chose the first door on the left, its wood splintered and chipped. Inside, the room was small, cluttered with remnants of a lifelong past, broken furniture, a shattered mirror, and dust-covered objects scattered about. In the corner, a faded portrait hung crookedly on the wall. It depicted a woman with haunting eyes that seemed to follow me. As I stared into her gaze, I felt a shiver creep up my spine. Suddenly, a soft whisper broke the silence. "Help me." I froze, heart racing. "Is someone there?" I called out, my voice trembling. The air thickened, and the whispers grew louder, echoing around me. "Help us. Free us." Panic set in, but curiosity drove me to stay. I stepped deeper into the room, my flashlight beam illuminating the floor. It landed on an old chest, its lock rusted and worn. The whispers intensified as I approached, urging me to open it. With trembling hands, I lifted the lid, revealing a collection of ancient trinkets, jewels, letters, and a small, ornate box. As I picked up the box, a chill ran through me. The whispers ceased, replaced by an oppressive silence. I opened the box, revealing a delicate locket inside. The moment I touched it, a surge of energy pulsed through me, and visions flooded my mind, fragments of memories from a time long gone. I saw the woman from the portrait, standing in a grand ballroom, laughter and music swirling around her. But then the scene shifted, darkening. I witnessed a storm, chaos erupting as shadows moved through the halls. The woman's face twisted in fear, and I heard her cry out, "No. Don't take me." I gasped, dropping the locket as the vision shattered. The room spun around me, and I stumbled back against the wall. The whispers returned, frantic and desperate. "You must help her. She is trapped." "Trapped?" I echoed, panic clawing at my chest. "Who are you? What do you want?" "Free us," the voices cried, a chorus of sorrow and despair. "Break the curse." I felt the weight of their desperation pressing down on me. I glanced around the room, desperate for answers. "How?" I pleaded. "How can I help?" The shadows seemed to dance around me, their forms shifting and twisting as if urging me to act. I remembered the letters I had seen in the chest. Rushing back, I sifted through the trinkets, searching for clues. The letters were worn and faded, but as I read, a story began to unfold, a tale of betrayal, loss, and a curse cast upon the woman in the portrait. The letters spoke of a lover who had betrayed her, dooming her spirit to wander the castle forever. She needs to be remembered, I realized, my heart racing. I have to tell her story. With renewed determination, I returned to the portrait, standing before it as the whispers grew louder. I remember you. I cried out. I know your story. I will tell it. The air crackled with energy, and the room shifted around me. The walls seemed to breathe, and the shadows danced in excitement. I focused on the woman's portrait, pouring my heart into the words, recounting her tale of love and loss, betrayal and sorrow. As I spoke, I felt a warmth envelop me, the whispers transforming into a gentle hum. I could see the woman's spirit emerging from the painting, her form shimmering like mist. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you for remembering me." The shadows receded, the oppressive weight lifting from the room. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, and as I continued to speak, the woman's spirit grew brighter, a radiant light filling the space. "Now you must break the curse," she said, her voice soft yet powerful. "Take the locket and bury it in the heart of the castle. Only then will my spirit be free." I nodded, determination fueling me. I picked up the locket, feeling its warmth pulse against my palm. With the woman's guidance, I hurried down the stairs and out into the castle's courtyard. The ground was uneven, the earth cold beneath my feet. I searched for a suitable spot, finally settling near a gnarled tree at the center of the yard. Digging into the earth, I felt the energy of the place shift, the whispers echoing around me as if urging me on. I buried the locket deep, covering it with soil, and as I stood back, a gust of wind rushed through the courtyard, swirling leaves around me. The whispers transformed into a soft melody, a lullaby of release and peace. I turned back toward the castle, feeling a warmth radiate from within its walls. The shadows that had once loomed large now danced lightly, their forms shifting and swirling in joy. "Thank you," the woman's voice echoed through the air, and I could see her spirit in the distance, a glowing figure slowly fading into the night sky. "You have set us free." As I stepped away from the castle, I felt a sense of fulfillment. The weight of its sorrow had lifted, replaced by a sense of tranquility. The ruined castle of Eldergrove would no longer be a place of fear, but a sanctuary for those lost souls, their stories finally told. The sun began to rise, casting warm light across the landscape. I took one last look at the castle, now bathed in golden light, and knew that its echoes would linger in my heart, a reminder of the power of remembrance, and the importance of giving voice to those who had been silenced. Blackthorn Keep loomed ominously over the village of Eldenmore, its crumbling towers reaching toward the sky like skeletal fingers. The castle had stood in disrepair for centuries, a remnant of a dark past filled with whispers of betrayal, madness, and loss. No one dared to approach it after sundown, for it was said that the spirits of those who had perished within its walls still roamed the halls, seeking revenge for their untimely deaths. I had grown up hearing these stories, but as an aspiring historian, my curiosity outweighed my fear. I had spent years researching the history of Blackthorn Keep, uncovering tales of a noble family torn apart by jealousy and greed. It was rumored that hidden within the castle lay a treasure, the last remnants of the Blackthorn lineage. With a flashlight, a camera, and a notebook filled with sketches and notes, I decided to explore the keep on a night when the full moon bathed the landscape in silver light. As I made my way up the overgrown path to the castle, the wind howled through the trees, sending chills down my spine. The entrance stood ajar, its heavy wooden door creaking in the breeze as I pushed it open. Stepping inside, I was engulfed by darkness, the air thick with the scent of damp stone and decay. I flicked on my flashlight, illuminating the vast entrance hall. Dust motes danced in the beam, and I felt as though I had stepped back in time. The walls were adorned with faded tapestries, their colors muted by years of neglect. Portraits of the Blackthorn family hung crookedly, their eyes following me as I moved deeper into the castle. I felt an unsettling energy radiating from them, as if they held secrets too dark to share. I began my exploration, jotting down notes and taking photographs. The castle was a labyrinth of rooms and corridors, each one filled with remnants of the past. In the dining hall, I found an old, dust-covered table set for a meal long forgotten. In the library, shelves groaned under the weight of ancient tomes, their spines cracked and yellowed. As I ventured further, I stumbled upon a staircase leading down into darkness. The air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding washed over me. Ignoring my instincts, I descended the steps, my flashlight flickering as if protesting my decision. The further I went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. At the bottom, I entered a dimly lit chamber. Stone walls were adorned with strange symbols, and in the center stood an altar, covered in dust and cobwebs. Candles lay extinguished around it, their wax hardened and ancient. I felt drawn to the altar, sensing an energy that vibrated beneath my skin. As I approached, I heard a whisper, a soft, melodic voice that sent shivers down my spine. "Help me." I froze, heart pounding. "Who's there?" I called, trying to keep my voice steady. The whisper grew louder, swirling around me like a gentle breeze. "Help me, free me." The room seemed to darken, the shadows deepening, and I could feel a presence drawing closer. Panic surged through me, but curiosity held me in place. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Find the truth," the voice urged, a note of desperation lacing its tone. "You must uncover what was hidden." Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and I saw my breath fogging in the air. The shadows flickered, and I caught sight of a figure, a woman in a tattered gown, her face twisted in sorrow. Her eyes bore the weight of untold grief, and she extended a ghostly hand toward me. "Help me," she repeated. I felt an overwhelming urge to comfort her, to understand her pain. "I'll help you," I promised, though fear gripped my heart. "But I need to know what happened." The ghostly figure shimmered, her form flickering like a candle in the wind. "The truth lies in the heart of the castle," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Seek the diary. Only then will you understand." With that, she vanished, leaving me alone in the dark chamber. My mind raced as I retraced my steps back to the library. I rummaged through the dusty shelves, searching for anything that might lead me to the diary. My fingers brushed against a hidden compartment in the wall, and with a little effort, I pried it open. Inside lay an ornate box, its surface etched with intricate designs. With trembling hands, I opened the box, revealing a weathered leather diary. I carefully lifted it out, the weight of it heavy with history. As I flipped through the pages, I discovered the writings of Lady Eloan Blackthorn, the last of her line. Her entries chronicled a family torn apart by greed, jealousy, and betrayal. With each page I read, the story unfolded, a tale of her husband's infidelity, a brother's ruthless ambition, and a tragic confrontation that ended in bloodshed. As I pieced the story together, I felt a sense of dread settle over me. The castle had become a prison, its walls echoing with the pain of betrayal and sorrow. Suddenly, the temperature dropped again, and I heard the whisper return, more insistent this time. "You must finish what was started." "What do you mean?" I shouted, but the shadows only thickened, wrapping around me like a shroud. I realized the truth: the family had never found peace, and their restless spirits were trapped within the castle's walls. I knew I had to confront this darkness. I returned to the chamber where I had encountered Eloan's spirit. Standing at the altar, I took a deep breath and spoke, my voice steady. "Eloan, I've read your story. I understand now." The air crackled with energy, and I felt the presence of the spirits gathering around me. "You must acknowledge the pain," I continued. "You must forgive one another to be free." A gust of wind rushed through the chamber, and I saw Eloan's figure materialize once more, flanked by shadowy forms. "Forgive," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Can we?" "Together," I urged, my heart racing. "You must confront what happened. Only then can you find peace. As I spoke, the shadows began to swirl, rising toward the ceiling. The temperature dropped further, and the room grew darker. The spirits of the Blackthorn family emerged, their faces filled with anguish and regret. I watched as they faced one another, memories flooding the air like an electric charge. I was wrong, the husband said, voice heavy with guilt. I let my greed consume me. And I, my jealousy, the brother added, tears glistening in his eyes. Eloan stepped forward, her ghostly form glowing with an ethereal light. We were lost in our desires, but we can find our way back. Her voice resonated with strength, cutting through the tension. One by one, they began to speak, sharing their sorrows and regrets. The room filled with their voices, a cacophony of emotion that reverberated through the walls. I felt the energy shift, the shadows lessening as the weight of their burdens began to lift. In that moment, I knew the truth: they had been trapped by their own hatred and fear. But by acknowledging their pain and seeking forgiveness, they could finally be free. As the last of their words echoed through the chamber, a brilliant light filled the space. The shadows dissolved, and the spirits began to shimmer, their forms transforming into radiant beings of light. Eloan turned to me, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have set us free." With that, they began to fade, their spirits ascending toward the heavens. A warm breeze swept through the chamber, carrying with it the scent of blooming flowers and fresh earth. I felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over me, and I knew that the curse of Blackthorn Keep had finally been broken. As I stepped out into the moonlit night, the castle appeared transformed. The oppressive weight that had once hung in the air was gone, replaced by a sense of serenity. I took one last look at Blackthorn Keep, knowing that its haunting echoes would linger, but they would no longer be cries of despair. Instead, they would be a reminder of the power of forgiveness and the importance of facing the past. The night air was thick with fog as I approached the ruins of Grimsby Castle, an ancient stronghold that had long been abandoned. Locals often spoke of the castle in hushed tones, weaving tales of madness and tragedy that shrouded its crumbling walls. Once a proud fortress, it now lay in ruins, its stones overrun with ivy and moss, swallowed by the relentless march of time. As a paranormal investigator, I had always been drawn to places steeped in history and mystery. The castle was said to be haunted by the spirit of Lady Isolde, a noblewoman who had perished under suspicious circumstances. Driven by a desire to uncover the truth, I decided to spend the night within the castle's decaying embrace, armed with only my equipment and a flickering lantern. As I stepped through the gaping archway, a chill ran down my spine. The entrance hall was dark and musty, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. My footsteps echoed through the cavernous space as I navigated the ruins, the shadows of the past dancing at the edges of my vision. I set up my equipment in what appeared to be the Great Hall, a vast room dominated by a crumbling stone fireplace. The walls were adorned with remnants of faded tapestries, depicting scenes of long-forgotten battles and feasts. I felt a weight in the air, a palpable energy that made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. As I began my investigation, I called out to Lady Isolde. "Isolde, if you can hear me, please make your presence known." The silence enveloped me, oppressive and thick, as I waited for a response. Minutes passed, and just as I began to doubt my decision, a cold breeze swept through the hall, extinguishing my lantern's flickering flame. I fumbled in the darkness, my heart racing. "Isolde?" I called again, my voice trembling. The air crackled with an electric tension, and I felt a presence surrounding me, whispering just out of reach. Suddenly, a soft sob echoed through the hall, chilling me to the bone. "Help me," the voice was faint yet filled with sorrow. I strained to listen, my breath hitching in my throat. "Please, help me. Isolde?" I whispered, hoping for a connection. "What happened to you?" The sobbing grew louder, accompanied by the sound of footsteps, light, shuffling, as if someone was pacing restlessly. The shadows deepened, swirling in the corners of the room. I turned on my flashlight, illuminating the vast space, but the light flickered weakly, as if hesitant to reveal what lay beyond. "Show yourself," I demanded, feeling both fear and determination surge within me. "Let me help you." In response, a figure materialized at the far end of the hall, a ghostly silhouette cloaked in mist. As it stepped closer, the air turned frigid, and I could see the outline of a woman, her features faint yet unmistakably noble. She wore a flowing gown that seemed to ripple with an otherworldly grace, and her eyes glimmered with a deep sadness. "Why do you disturb my rest?" she whispered, her voice echoing through the hall. "I am bound to this place, forever searching." "I want to help you," I replied, my voice steady despite the fear clenching my heart. "What binds you here?" Her expression twisted with pain, and I felt a wave of despair wash over me. "Betrayed by those I loved, left to die in this wretched castle. My spirit cannot find peace until the truth is revealed." "What truth?" I pressed, stepping closer. "Tell me what happened, and I will help you find peace." She hesitated, the shadows shifting around her as if they were alive, swirling in a tempest of sorrow. "On the night of the feast, when the castle was alive with laughter, my husband accused me of treachery. Jealousy blinded him, and he condemned me to this fate." I could sense the anguish in her words, and my heart ached for her. "But why? Why would he do such a thing?" "The whispers. I heard them," she said, her voice trembling. "They spoke of a rival, a woman who sought my husband's affection. I was framed, trapped in a web of deceit. I felt a rush of understanding. Who was this woman?" "Lady Morgana," Isolde whispered, her face contorting with bitterness. "She coveted my life and my love. She was the architect of my demise." Determined to uncover the truth, I knew I needed more information. "Where can I find proof of this betrayal?" I asked, my mind racing with possibilities. "Search the library," she urged. "There, you may find the letters that reveal all." Without hesitation, I moved deeper into the castle, navigating through the debris until I found the library. The room was dimly lit by moonlight filtering through shattered windows, casting eerie patterns on the floor. Shelves of dusty books loomed before me, their spines cracked and weathered. As I began to search, I felt a presence watching me, the weight of Isolde's spirit heavy in the air. My heart pounded as I pulled down a leather-bound book, flipping through its pages until I stumbled upon a stack of brittle letters hidden within. The letters were yellowed with age, their ink faded but still legible. I read through them, piecing together the treachery that had unfolded within these very walls. Lady Morgana's letters dripped with deceit, taunting Isolde and revealing her insidious plans to ruin her reputation and win over her husband's heart. Each word painted a picture of betrayal that had led to Isolde's tragic fate. As I absorbed the truth, I felt the room grow colder, and Isolde's spirit appeared beside me, her expression filled with both relief and anger. "You found them," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Now I can confront my betrayer. Is there a way to release your spirit?" I asked, my heart racing at the thought of finally putting her to rest. Isolde's eyes glimmered with hope. "You must reveal the truth to the living. Only then will my spirit be free." Determined to honor her memory, I gathered the letters and made my way back to the Great Hall. I knew I had to ensure that the truth of her story was not forgotten. With the evidence in hand, I stood in the center of the hall and began to speak, my voice rising above the silence. "Tonight, I stand in the ruins of Grimsby Castle to reveal the truth of Lady Isolde Blackwood," I declared. "She was a victim of jealousy and betrayal, framed for crimes she did not commit. Her spirit has been trapped here, haunted by the lies that took her life." The air trembled, and the shadows gathered around me, pulsating with energy as I recounted her story. I felt Isolde's presence beside me, the warmth of her gratitude wrapping around me like a protective cloak. As I spoke, I could see the spectral forms of her family members materializing, their faces etched with regret and sorrow. They had been blind to the truth, consumed by the lies that had torn them apart. Lady Morgana sought to ruin her, I continued, my voice steady. But the truth cannot be buried. It must be known, for only then can we find peace. With each word, the room filled with a brilliant light, illuminating the once dark corners of the castle. The spirits gathered around me, their expressions softening as they began to understand the weight of their past. As I finished recounting the tale, Isolde stepped forward, her form shimmering with ethereal light. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "You have set me free." In that moment, the castle began to shake, the walls trembling as if the very foundations were being restored. The darkness that had enveloped Grimsby Keep began to lift, revealing a sense of clarity and peace. With a final, grateful glance, Isolde's spirit ascended, the light enveloping her as she disappeared into the night sky. The other spirits followed, their forms dissolving into the air, leaving behind a warmth that filled the castle. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden hue over the ruins, I stepped outside, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief wash over me. The whispers that had haunted the castle were gone, replaced by a tranquil silence. Grimsby Castle would no longer be a place of sorrow, but a testament to the power of truth and redemption. I took one last look at the ruins, knowing that the echoes of its past would linger, not as cries of despair, but as whispers of a story finally set free. The landscape was a desolate stretch of moorland, the sky a sullen gray as I approached the crumbling ruins of Ravenstone Keep. Once a formidable fortress, it now lay in tatters, its towers reduced to skeletal remains that clawed at the clouds. The locals warned of the castle's dark legacy, a history soaked in blood and betrayal, where the anguished souls of the past roamed freely, forever trapped in their torment. As an amateur historian fascinated by the macabre, I felt an irresistible pull to uncover the castle's secrets. Armed with a notebook, a flashlight, and a healthy dose of skepticism, I made my way through the gnarled trees that lined the path, the wind howling like a mournful spirit. Stepping through the castle's grand archway, I was greeted by a chill that seeped into my bones. The air was heavy with the scent of mildew and earth, and a thick layer of dust coated everything. Moonlight filtered through the cracks in the stone, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. I flicked on my flashlight, illuminating the remnants of a once majestic hall, its grandeur now a haunting memory. As I explored, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of the ancient stones settling. I took a deep breath and called out, "Is anyone here? I'm just a curious historian." Silence enveloped me once more, but then, just as I was about to dismiss the sensation, I heard a soft whisper, barely audible. "Leave, while you can." My heart raced as I spun around, my flashlight beam dancing frantically across the walls. "Who's there?" I shouted, the bravado in my voice wavering. The whisper returned, more insistent this time. "You should not have come. Leave, before it's too late." Determined to uncover the truth, I pressed on. The great hall opened into a vast courtyard, the sky overhead darkening as clouds gathered, blocking the moonlight. I felt an unnatural chill wash over me, and a sense of dread settled in my stomach. In the center of the courtyard stood a stone well, overgrown with vines. Drawn to it, I approached cautiously, peering into the darkness below. "Isolde," a voice murmured, echoing from the depths. "Help me." "Isolde?" I repeated, sensing a connection. "Who are you?" "Help me," the voice pleaded, filled with sorrow and desperation. "I am bound here, cursed to suffer until the truth is revealed." I felt a surge of sympathy, the weight of her pain echoing in my heart. "What happened to you? How can I help?" "The betrayal," she whispered, her voice barely rising above the wind. "You must find the truth of Ravenstone Keep. Only then can I be free." With renewed determination, I searched the ruins, moving through shattered doorways and darkened corridors. I stumbled upon a grand library, its shelves lined with dusty tomes. My flashlight beam revealed a collection of diaries, their leather covers cracked and worn. I pulled one down, flipping through the pages until I found a passage that caught my eye. It spoke of Lady Isolde, a noblewoman whose beauty and intelligence were overshadowed by the treachery of her husband, Lord Cedric. Jealous of her popularity, Cedric conspired with a dark sorceress to ensure Isolde's downfall. My heart raced as I read the words, piecing together the story of betrayal that had unfolded within these very walls. As I delved deeper into the diary, I felt the air grow heavy, the shadows coiling around me as if alive. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the library, extinguishing my flashlight and plunging me into darkness. Panic surged within me as I fumbled for my phone, the screen casting a faint glow. I heard the whisper again, now more urgent, "You must hurry." "I'm trying," I called out, my voice echoing in the silence. "What do I need to do?" "Find the sorceress," the voice instructed. "Her dark magic holds the key to my freedom." I gathered my courage and made my way back to the courtyard, scanning the area for any signs of the sorceress. As I reached the well, the air crackled with energy, and I felt a presence behind me. I turned, and there stood a figure cloaked in shadows, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "You seek the truth, but truth comes at a price," she said, her voice dripping with malice. "What will you give to set Isolde free?" "I'll do whatever it takes," I replied, my heart racing. "I want to help her." The sorceress chuckled, a chilling sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Very well. To free her, you must face the darkness within yourself." With a wave of her hand, the shadows swirled around me, enveloping me in darkness. I felt my heart pound as memories began to flood my mind, regrets, fears, and failures. The shadows twisted into forms I recognized, moments from my past where I had failed others, where I had been selfish or afraid. "Face them," the sorceress commanded, her voice echoing through the void. "Only by confronting your darkness can you hope to set her free." I fought against the rising tide of despair, forcing myself to confront each painful memory. I saw the faces of friends I had let down, opportunities one had missed, and the fear that had held me back from pursuing my dreams. Each moment was like a dagger to my heart, but I stood firm. "I will not let fear control me," I shouted into the void, my voice steadying. "I will accept my past, but I will not be defined by it." The darkness began to recede, the shadows unraveling like threads of smoke. I felt a surge of strength within me, a sense of clarity and purpose that pushed back against the encroaching gloom. "Isolde deserves to be free." With those words, the darkness shattered, and I found myself back in the courtyard, the sorceress gone. A light flickered in the well, illuminating the depths below. Isolde's spirit emerged, radiant and free, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You did it," she whispered, her voice filled with warmth. "You faced your darkness, and in doing so, you freed me." I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes as I looked at her. "What now?" "Now, you must ensure that our stories are told," she replied. "Let the world know of the betrayals that took place within these walls, so that others may learn and remember." With a wave of her hand, the castle began to transform around us. The crumbling stones shimmered, revealing the splendor of what once was. Ghostly figures danced in the light, the spirits of those lost to betrayal finally finding peace. As dawn broke, casting golden rays across the landscape, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. Ravenstone Keep, once a place of sorrow, now stood as a monument to resilience and truth. I left the castle, my heart lighter than it had been in years. The whispers of the past would linger, but they would no longer haunt me. Instead, they would guide me, reminding me of the power of courage and the importance of facing our own darkness.